we casted Nicorect, and he went Mass Cyclone in TvP, and he actually beat ArT with it. Like, he popped off, mate, and he actually performed incredibly well with the most weird, just unorthodox TvP builds.
Oh boy. Well, NA, am I right? Anyway,
So
we are going to...
He went full NA, I guess.
Exactly, yeah, NA. He went full NA. Anyway, we're going to be kicking off our last semifinales here. It is going to be a PvP on 2,000 atmospheres as our starting map. We're in the top right-hand corner map, spawning all the way in the top right-hand corner. We have a pink Protoss Polish player coming out from the land of Poland. He is, of course, going to be representing Genesis Gaming. We have ArT.
And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of 2,000 atmospheres LE, we have the red Protoss player, hailing from the land of Hong Kong, representing the Juggernauts. It is Bistork.
Not entirely related here, Light, but I do have confirmation. Bjorn and Time have just started their series in the Gengar Brawl, so yep.
Let's go.
Ain't no rest.
Yeah, hopefully it lines up where Bjorn is able to comfortably play in both tournaments. You know, he plays his game versus time, and then maybe the other games take a little bit longer, so he's given more time to play out in the grand finals.
Yeah, but regardless, we will be taking a little bit of a break there, and I guess right now we are just determining who is going to meet him in those grand finals. It will be a TvP regardless, but from whom?
Yeah, like, I don't expect this to be a long series, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I was talking about it earlier. Bistork, you know, he's one of the best Protoss players that Southeast Asia has to offer. Of course, we are including Hong Kong in that. And he did 2-0 Zest. Not with the most orthodox of plays, so, you know, again, he can really surprise you. He can come out of left field and come out with some kind of weird proxy.
I think I'm going to be surprised tonight.
Oh yeah, I've already been surprised.
No matter what he does, yeah.
Oh god. So we'll see how it goes. As so far, pretty standard openers here. We did see a Sentry opener for ArT, so he's playing a little bit safer, like focusing a lot more on scouting with those hallucinations. Bistork a little bit more aggressive, just making nothing but stalkers.
Yeah, very defensive coming out from him right now. Well, I say that, but there's a lot more defensive potential with sentries, I suppose.
Yeah, Bistork is going to be the aggressor. He's sending everything he has across the map. ArT goes for that Haluk, again, to make sure nothing crazy is going on, whether there's a Stargate, whether a base is being taken. ArT expanding, Bistork a little bit behind him, but still taking his Nexus.
Yep. And ArT still has Energy 4 Force Field on that Sentry, so it's looking very, very secure on his bases for the time being.
Yeah, and honestly, I feel like ArT's gonna be feeling pretty good about this, right? He's like, okay, I see everything. There's no Twilight Council. There's no potential for Dark Shrines. Either you do have a Stargate, so you're probably gonna be working on some Oracles, maybe some Phoenixes. For the time being, I can be safe, and he does have a little bit less firepower here, but there is that Force Field.
Yeah, messing up the surface area a little bit of these Stalkers, and it is going to be much harder for Bistork to try to push up into that ramp. So things are going to be slowing down a little bit. Our players are going to be making their next phases of tech. ArT prioritizing Blink, Bistork getting an Oracle before his Twilight Council.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of appreciate that Bistork isn't committing too hard into his Stargate units. Like, he was scouted earlier, so, like, there is no surprise factor anymore. He just has to be careful not to lose this. Like, obviously, there isn't going to be a lot of probe kills, but, you know, there's always the potential for stasis wards, and, again, just going in for the tag and just keeping an eye on your opponent. Oh, my god, what?
Like... Whoa, that wall was not a wall whatsoever. A bit of a wasted Oracle, as it does get picked up very immediately, but Bistork trying to make the most out of it, trying to get some probe kills with his Adepts. Gets a couple. Not a lot, though.
I think a lot just happened there. I think I was stunned, and I think Bistork was stunned that the shade went through.
Yeah.
He's like, this isn't meant to happen. What do I do now? Oh my god, like, he just suddenly appeared in the main base, and it's
I
like,
didn't think I'd get this far.
Exactly. So it took a while for the adepts to really get any value. Unfortunately, because of that, Bistork did fumble a little bit and fall apart a little bit there as well.
Yeah, you gotta give the advantage to ArT here. Not only did he get his third base a lot quicker, he also didn't lose. He also didn't sacrifice much to get that. He is much quicker when it comes to his tech. Blink is gonna finish up as Bistork's is only about halfway done. Also getting the Robo facility.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, I just, it's not a great place for Bistork to be in, I'll be honest, especially because, like, his blink timing is going to be that much later. Essentially, like, it wasn't just the Oracle being a waste, it's the Stargate was a waste, essentially. Like, so many resources down the drain, and ArT, he's taking this lead and going even further with it by expanding, taking a third base, working on his Immortals. Like, his army is just going to be so solid. The only thing he's lacking is, like, if he threw down, I don't know, like a Forge for +1 as well on top of that. But even that would maybe even be unnecessary. Like, he's just got so much going for it.
Yeah, he's got so much more army supply, and it doesn't really look like Bistork's going to be able to make much of a dent in that. So Bistork is actually the one who is going to be prioritizing his Forge. He needs some way of equalizing.
Yeah, I don't blame him, right? Forge is on the way, so he can start working on his upgrades. To be fair, he doesn't know that ArT doesn't have one, so that will be an advantage that he can kind of utilize. Meanwhile, he pokes in towards the third base, and yeah, ArT he's completely fine.
Interestingly enough, ArT does have a pylon towards the south, and Bistork is building a bit of a proxy himself.
Oh yeah, a couple of proxy pylons being thrown down here, but ArT is now the aggressor. And this is a scary moment where ArT, mate, he has all these stalkers, he also has an Immortal behind this, and some sentries to help CC that army.
Yeah, Bistork doesn't have any shield batteries in this location. It's really difficult seeing a way for him to hold even with those defensive advantage. He blinks on forward and snipes the Immortal before anything can be done. All of a sudden, the advantage is flipping to Bistork's favor.
ArT, no, the move command, the second Immortal comes in and it's going to go down immediately just like that. Two Immortals go down for free at the same time. We do have a couple of adepts here at the natural base and at the third base of Bistork, so ArT is dealing some economic damage, but he just lost two Immortals, mate.
All of a sudden, things have evened out.
As we see a forced recall here, these two adepts somehow, they forced the recall. I don't know if the recall was even necessary, but oh god, Bistork deems it necessary to try and defend and hold at home.
Well, he sustained a lot of probe damage, and yes, even as the armies kind of are at the moment, economically, ArT is still very much ahead.
Oh yeah, he's got a very nice worker lead. He's rebuilding his dead Immortals. They're coming back. Charge is on the way. +1 is on the way as well. But Bistork can hit a very strong timing with his upgrade. War Prism is out. Bistork did cut workers. Like, now can be his moment to just, again, push on through and maybe break through the defenses of ArT. ArT will have a shield battery and an overcharge, so it's going to be difficult.
Yeah, two Immortals here as well. One of them's isolated again.
Oh.
Isolated.
Speaking of shield batteries.
Nice little choke point here that ArT is utilizing. Bistork blinking as best he can. Man, these charge hits are really helping out, providing so much of a buffer for him. And just like that, ArT takes the engagement once again. And the natural order has kind of been re-established here. This
time the Immortals were not exposed. This time they actually were able to actually have an impact on the engagement and be a part of the fight and just force Bistork all the way back. And now ArT, he just takes another base. His Immortal count is getting higher. I do appreciate what Bistork is doing though. He does have one Immortal on the way, but he knows that he can't really catch up in that way, and he's working on the robotic space. He's actually the first player to get one to work on disruptors.
Well, they are the great equalizer, and Bistork is nothing if not unequal in this current predicament. ArT going for DTs, which can definitely work out. They're a very good harassment tool at this phase of the PvP, but yeah, I doubt he'll be using it much in his front lines.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see as Bistork actually forced, I should say, ArT actually catches the army. Oh my god, he does dive on top of the Immortal. He dives on top of the Warp Prism as well.
Warp Prism, of course, with the Immortal inside. Think this is, I don't want to call it game, but ArT has so much momentum behind him at this point.
He really does. He's not turning around either. Meanwhile, we have a massive slow warp in of Zealots, but it looks like we're going to see ArT warp in to respond as well to help defend his fresh 4th base. Even, like, to be fair, ArT can afford to lose this base. Like, it is the most crucial base that he has, and ArT doesn't turn around. He's here across the map with his 3 Immortals.
Yeah, Bistork unfortunately a little bit late to retreat here. He has taken out a Warp Prism, which is nice, and the Immortals are a little bit exposed once again, but at this point, there are charges here to act as a buffer. There really shouldn't be too much there really shouldn't be too much trouble for ArT here.
Yeah, we do have another bit of a pseudo surround. The Immortals are being picked off left and right. So once again, Bistork resets that Immortal count, and with the help of the charge outs, oh my god, Bistork, he's going to be able to push this back.
Yeah, the army supplies have started to even out quite a bit, funnily enough, but Bistork is starting to run out of money, and ArT can still afford to warp in. He's going to be warping him back at home, so yeah, these reinforcements are immediately helpful.
Yeah, like, I don't know how Bistork does it. Like, I don't know if it's just his engages, or maybe ArT being a little bit too, like, exposing his own units, or maybe a little bit of both. But, like, Bistork once again takes a great fight, a great trade, despite having, like, a worse, like, tech army. But, oh my god, here come DTs.
And if you thought the economy was crippled before, it is not much better now. These CTs have wreaked havoc. 24 pros have been taken out. This 4th base is pretty much a forfeit as well. He's sort of doing whatever he can to fight back, but it ain't looking too good for him. GG's call, and ArT takes game number 1.
GG. If it wasn't for the DTs, maybe Bistork would be able to get a disruptor out, but unfortunately was not meant to be. ArT was just so on top of everything. Like, he may not have had the most amazing army control, maybe especially with his Immortals, but like, he could afford to be a little bit sloppy in certain cases just because of his far superior economy.
Yeah, it definitely felt like ArT took a bit of a lead at the start of the game and never really let go of it. It did look a little bit shaky after his 2 Immortals got sniped, but he was able to patch it up really quick, and from there, it was just a tough time for Bistork overall. But we'll see if that changes.
We'll see as we're going into game number 2. Hopefully Bistork is able to shake it off and you know, get into this with a fresh mind. Yeah, it's also a pretty interesting game 1, but again, not as chaotic as I thought it would have been.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
But all bets are off now. We're going into Glittering Ashes for game number 2. Show us some insanity, guys.
I gotta
quack.
Yes. Quack.
Quack.
Oh god.
Gotta
Beautiful, mate. Beautiful. As we're getting into game number 2. Make Glittering Ashes. It's a pretty big map. Are you feeling like a proxy?
Potential.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking a proxy at a 3rd base location.
Oh god, maybe we could see a four-leaf clover. We could see like proxy 4 gate.
We could see an 8-leaf clover.
That sounds terrifying. I didn't see it working, but it sounds terrifying.
How lucky can you get?
Right.
No, when I said 8-leaf clover, I mean both players go proxy 4 gate. I don't see it working either, though, to be honest. But regardless, we're going to be continuing our best of 3 semifinalists here on Glittering Ashes LE. Where, of course, in the bottom right-hand corner, left-hand corner map, swinging all the way to the bottom left-hand corner, we have a pink Polish Protoss player from the land of Poland. He is going to be representing Genesis Gaming, our top #1 seed in this entire tournament series. He is ArT.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Glittering Ashes LE, we have the blue Protoss player himself representing the Juggernauts. Still in the series, down 0-1, but not out of it yet. It is Bistork. A head bop.
Aww.
Oh.
Your headbutt.
Exactly. Bad, man. Feels bad as so far.
Under charge.
Speaking of Bison, if you're in the chat, if you're interested in watching Yaku try and fail to make a zoo, mate, check out his stream VODs.
I'll continue that at some point.
Can you name your animals in that, by the way?
I believe you can.
Oh.
I didn't, but
Oh.
I believe you can. Should rename all of the bison to Parker or something.
You should. Like different kind of Parkers.
Yeah.
Like a Parker jacket or a Peter Parker. Or
Yeah.
just come up with everything you can, mate.
Parker Street.
Yeah. Central
Parker
Parker.
Gear. Yeah. Central Park.
There you go. Oh god.
Park. Who's a Korean?
I like how we're talking about Parker. Everyone's like, who the hell are these people talking about? War Buffalo isn't the most known person, that especially anymore. He plays more Overwatch than StarCraft. Feels bad, man.
Feels bad, man.
Ugh.
It used to be Sushi's biggest, whatchamacallit, representative in the NA region for Alpha X. Not so much anymore.
Thankfully. As we are getting into this game, and so far, exact same openers as last game. Fun fact, ArT did open up with a Stalker and a Sentry, so very safe, prioritizing scouting with the hallucination. Meanwhile, Bistork just nothing but these Stalkers.
Yeah, still being pretty aggressive here, still opening up with a Stargate, so trying to follow this up with a little bit more harassment as well. Hopefully his Oracle doesn't fumble as much as the previous game.
Yeah, again, like there was a lot of miscontrol from Bistork at the start of the game, which didn't help. Like he had some great moves later on in the mid game, but at the beginning he did kind of fall apart. So hopefully he can tighten things up. I'm worried because here in game 2 he is at a server disadvantage as opposed to the first game. So he will have to kind of make up for that as first Oracle is coming out.
Yeah, it's honestly going to be a lot trickier for him to try to control it, which is why I like that he's not, or he hasn't. Let me double check. Yep, he hasn't gotten any Adepts out either. He knows that that's going to be just a little bit too much to control at once.
Yeah,
that
just
poor probe.
Just a little bit. Meanwhile, Bistork is here on the front lines at the natural base trying to find what damage he can, but he's only got a 1 Stalker advantage, and he's fighting against a shield battery. ArT, he's able to deflect this for the time being, and thankfully Bistork doesn't commit too much. He hasn't lost anything yet.
Yeah, and he's setting himself up to go in with his Oracle as well. He's going double Oracle and also getting a much earlier Twilight Council, so yeah, a bit of an improved early game. Now on Glittering Ashes from the side of Bistork. I spoke too soon!
The Oracle barely gets away. Meanwhile, the Stalkers push on forward. Looks like the shield battery will go down, so overcharge is no longer available, and the Adepts are going to be able to focus on these sentries.
Wow, pretty nicely done. All things considered from Bistork. He's been winning a little bit in the Stalker engagement here. You know, ArT forced the wall off, did leave a couple of his forces vulnerable, but now that he's canceled the pylon, he is coming down to the low ground and really shoring up his defenses. The Adept somehow snuck in again. And the Oracles make it out alive.
Only 1 Adept though, so it will be cleaned up. ArT did end up losing 5 probes, so Bistork evens up that worker count, and he was able to shut down all those sentries, which means now ArT is going to be in the dark. Up!
Oh, man. Bistork. Come on. You don't want me losing the Oracles unnecessarily like that. No. May lose another one, too.
Jesus Christ. Almost, mate. Oh, no. I was getting deja vu. I don't know if you noticed, but the way that Bistork with his first Oracle maneuvered in between these bases and got surrounded was exactly the same way he lost it in game 1.
Yup.
Oh god.
Goes into the main mineral line and immediately takes a hard 90-degree turn
Yeah.
in the middle of his two bases.
It's like, mate, have you not learned? It was the exact same, like, army movement and army positioning from ArT. Meanwhile, ArT is now the aggressor. He's here across the map with these two adapts, forcing a long lost fight time, even able to deal some more damage, reciprocates, but it was just dealt to him.
ArT is looking so solid here. Still has a slight worker lead, a little bit behind when it comes to tech, but yeah, all in all, I gotta give ArT the advantage.
Yeah, exactly. Like, the one thing Bistork has going for him really is that, like, he still has this Oracle, so he can still go in, he can still maybe deal some damage. Maybe later on a Stasis Ward is going to impact an engagement and, you know, maybe CC a bunch of ArT's army. Like, there is always a lot of potential with these energy-based units, as long as he doesn't lose it.
That's a big if. Bistork? Bistork? Bistork! Just barely keeps it alive.
It does. It is alive here outside the natural base. Meanwhile, at the same time, ooh, a couple more depths do shade in. Oh my god, these depths actually dealing some significant damage.
Yeah, 6 probes immediately. Bistork finding himself a hit when it comes to the workers. Funnily enough, Immortals do not deal too well against the depths. So yeah, that was a very good trade here for Bistork.
Yeah, shout out to this pylon, the real MVP for Bistork, keeping him in this game, able to allow him to take a lead in that worker count. Yeah, very nicely done.
And we'll see what he does with that. Again, he's going to be the first player to research charge and get his forge up and running.
Yeah, exactly. So he does have that tech going for him. Meanwhile, ArT has that immortal advantage. To be fair, we did see that that doesn't necessarily kind of make or break an engagement. You know, if they are left exposed, then Bistork, he's more than willing to just dive on them.
Oh, like so. Nice pick up here from ArT.
Does force Bistork all the way back, but at the same time, Bistork, I'm sure he wants his army to follow him. He wants to buy time. He wants to buy time as, again, charge is still on the way. 4 gateways are still on the way as well.
But ArT doesn't take the bait.
Yeah,
maybe he should.
He doesn't turn around, so as a result, he's going to lose all the mining time here at this third base. He may even lose the Nexus, but does that matter? Because ArT, he's pushing on forward, even baits out that Stasis Trap.
Yeah, he has a very big advantage here when he's attacking into this. He's not quite focusing down the shield battery. Now he does, but he's sustained quite a couple of casualties here. He has the better immortal count for the time being, and with the Warp Prism, he's able to micro it very effectively. We are going full on base trade.
Yeah, we did have a recall, so all the Stalkers came back home. Bistork did get a kill on that third base, and now he moves forward, and he's going to be able to get the Warp Prism and the Immortals.
Nicely done here for Bistork. So we trade workers for workers, tech for tech, and when it's all said and done, Bistork has some momentum here. He has the forces to go for a counterattack. ArT losing that third base earlier on really hurting him now. He's going to be scrambling to get some defenses up and running.
Exactly, Bistork, he's up in bases. He is currently down in workers, but not for too much longer as he's going across the map. But once again, it won him game 1, or it kind of sealed the deal in game 1. ArT did get a Dark Shrine.
Oh, yeah, there's detection now, though, for Bistork. Or at least it was an observer I saw earlier on.
There it is, it's at home.
It is at home, so ArT doesn't want to reveal his hand too soon. He doesn't want to, warp into defensive DPs now and prompt Bistork into something, but now he's kind of forced to.
Oh, there we go. Bistork, he dives on the Immortal once again. He will be able to clean up this army, but that DT is swiping away at what Bistork has. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, DTs are finally showing up.
And ArT is looking to equalize as much as he can. ArT going to be able to clear this up thanks to the defensive DTs, but he also gets 11, 12 more, 13 more probe kills.
Oh, God.
Still not a massive economic lead right now, but, little by little, this is going to add up.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, the Kuro Pylon.
Oh, the Kuro Pylon. Oh, the Pylon is going to go down, but at the same time, again, Bistork still has a pretty large army, pretty formidable army outside the bases of ArT. Is it going to be enough? There's still one Immortal for each player, but we have the added macro of the Warp Prism.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot tougher for ArT in this position, but Bistork forced to back away.
ArT taking a ninja base. I love it.
May as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, Bistork, he doesn't know. Like, he had a pylon here at the linear third. You know, he did check that triangular third again, just in case. He's probably thinking, oh my god, I'm forcing my opponent on 2 bases. All I have to do is back off, macro up, and I'll be ahead. I'll be fine.
Oh, will you? Now DZTs have anything to say about that?
Yeah, DTs go in, and G gets called. ArT taps out, and Bistork ties up the series 1-1.
We're going into our ace match.
Oh my god. Wow.
Just wow.
Yeah, like Bistork is playing very it's almost very Zest-esque, because if you remember back when Zest, especially the beginning of last year, in PvPs, he would always just go like mass stalker, just nothing but stalker. Like, it doesn't matter if his opponents would have like 3 immortals, like he would just be able to overwhelm their armies anyway. It was kind of crazy to see happen. Of course, Bistork is still eventually getting his own immortals, but again, he's not too rushed to get them out, you know.
Yeah, the memories are flooding back to me here, like about a year or so ago. Yeah, when we would see in a PvP Zest's opponent just tech up so quickly, and it's not just like they tech up and they tunnel on the tech and they cut in corners. No, they tech up but still have a decent army to fight with. And then all of a sudden, Zest says, "You know what? Stalkers. That's all I need." And just overwhelms his opponents with mass stalkers. That's kind of a similar vibe that we're seeing here from Bistork, which is ironic considering he uses the classic avatar. ArT is the one with Zest as his face, but yes, we are now going to be concluding our PvP semifinales here on Pride of Altares LE. Of course, in the top left-hand corner map, spawning all the way in the top left-hand corner, we have a pink Polish Protoss player coming down from the land of Poland. He is the top seed, and he is very, very close to continuing to be the top seed and getting to that grand finals. But he has an opponent in his way. Representing Genesis Gaming, he is ArT.
And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Pride of Altares LE, we have our blue Protoss player representing the Juggernauts, hailing from the land of Hong Kong. It's the Kong from Hong Kong. It is Bistork.
Hashtag stroke beef.
Hashtag stroke that beef, mate. He is here. He is 1 game away from making it to the grand finals. To be fair, both players are. It's just Bistork is the most unlikely of finalists. Can he pull it off? Can he make it all the way to beyond?
If he makes it to the finals, does this make him the first C/OCE player to make it to the finals?
I think so. I actually think so.
That
Yeah.
should have that itself should have a bounty.
Yeah, none of the Oceanic or Southeast Asian players have gone that far, I don't believe. I mean, we can double check that later on Wikipedia. But yeah, he's so goddamn close. I'll tell you that, mate.
Yeah. I guess that is important to mention. He's close. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves here. ArT, I still have a lot of faith in ArT here. He's the top seed for a reason. And he definitely knows how to play a little bit more reactive and how to adapt to his Protoss opponents in the PvP matchup. Already forcing a Zealot out of Bistork.
Yeah, that was a pretty clutch cancel as well. Like, both players are working on their Zealots. Both players were being very annoying, trying to delay each other's Nexus. And Bistork was the one who folded. He, instead of throwing down a Nexus, he went for a Stargate instead. And still made the Zealot as well. So kind of a wasted Zealot, to be honest.
Well, not a waste yet. We'll see if he's able to utilize it.
True. He is on the way. The wall is not a wall, as there is a pylon here. He's gonna try and sneak his way in. Does make his way through. There is a sentry to defend, but it's just a sentry.
Was a sentry to defend. He wants that probe, but the probe is just a little too quick.
Yeah. The Zealot, unfortunately, looks like he won't deal any damage. He's sure he got a couple of swipes off on the sentry, or just a couple of swipes on some probes, but we'll get cleaned up.
Yeah, a little bit indecisive here from Bistork.
Yeah, but we'll see, because again, what he lacks in damage with the Zealot, he may make up for with this Oracle. Unfortunately, looking at ArT's vision, he didn't see the Stargate yet, but now he will with Haluk.
Yeah, we'll confirm the Oracle on the way as well. So it gives him a little bit of time to warp in more Stalkers, if need be. Well, I say warp in. He hasn't finished Warp Gate yet. Now he has.
True, there we go. Warp Gate finished up. The gateways are getting up and running. Meanwhile, Bistork tried to shade in, but the wall was a wall. ArT does have a probe here on location. Deny him.
And in the main base there is a shield battery, so yeah, the Oracle ain't gonna cut it. The single Oracle ain't gonna cut it.
Oh god, the single Oracle already taking a lot of damage as well. Jesus.
Not ideal for our blue Protoss player.
Yeah, obviously shields will regen, and again, Bistork will be teaming up with that Oracle, with the second Oracle. But again, he really has to be careful. Like he's I don't know, he's not the most careful with his Oracle control, we've noticed.
Oh. Yeah. It's almost like Patience.
Almost. Yeah.
Not quite. He is on a similar axis.
God, I miss Patience. Feels bad, man. Feels bad. Meanwhile, Haluk comes out. It runs into the Oracles as well. So ArT does have vision of him. Oh, Bistork does get a snipe on the sentry, but loses its Oracle.
Yeah, great target firing from both sides here as Bistork decides he's had enough. He's transitioning out.
Oh my god. For the first time this series, Bistork is the one going for DTs.
And he's getting it very, very early on. This could come back to bite him.
Yeah, we'll see. Meanwhile, oh my god, he's being herded into the Stalkers. How can they not shoot? Oh my god.
This is,
Am I missing something here?
That's
the second time that's happened.
Fire, yeah. The Stalkers didn't fire.
Yeah, there was a period earlier when the Stalkers were chasing down the Oracle here as well, and they were well within range to attack, but it didn't happen.
I think they moved. They moved for a single frame, and that prevented them from firing their animation, and then because of that, yeah, in that split second, Bistork just kind of left. Went out of range.
Okay.
That's what makes sense to me, but I don't know. I'm not a nerd.
Oh god. To keep telling yourself that, buddy. Oh god. As at least the Oracle is still alive, and again is keeping ArT busy. You know, he's having, or at least focusing a lot of his attention here on just keeping up with it. At the same time, Bistork is going to dive in with his own Stalkers, but he is at the Stalker disadvantage.
Yeah, he can't really zest. He can't really zest his way through without the Stalker advantage. He blinks away, and he is slowly warping in a couple of DTs. Yup, right on over here. But the Observer is well in range.
Feels bad, man. Feels bad. The Observer is here. Detection is here as well. The DTs don't do anything yet. Though that's kind of rough, because again, the first DTs are the ones that are meant to deal the most damage.
They really are. You're really relying a lot on the element of surprise here with DTs, at least as a harassment tool. You give that up before you even get any damage done, you're basically not going to do any damage with them.
Yeah. So again, a bit of a rough start here for Bistork. Like, the Oracles haven't really done much, the DTs haven't done much either, so he has been putting himself behind just with where he's been spending his gas. His gas just hasn't been the most efficient spendage-wise, but he is catching up in other ways, I guess. You know, he's working on his own upgrades, his own immortals, just gonna be a little bit behind compared to his opponents. I say a little bit, quite a bit behind.
Oh yeah, quite a lot.
As ArT +1 is already done, Warp Prism is coming out as well, which signifies that he wants to be active out on the map, which is a little bit scary because, again, ArT does have a pretty big army advantage. He is scouted, though. We do have a revelation on this, so if ArT does move out, Bistork will have a heads up.
If he moves on soon.
Yeah, and because of that, I'm sure ArT doesn't want to, right? Like, because he just got tagged, he's like, fine, I'll stay at home. Like, I don't want to show you that I'm moving out.
I'll just build an even better army so that by the time I do move out, I can, secure an engagement a little bit easier.
Yeah, and a part of that is the fact that now we have Archons as well mixed into the main army, so despite Bistork also working on Charge is going to have a bit of a harder time with that. Meanwhile, at least Bistork is able to get his own, as his DTs were able to be morphed into Archons.
Yeah, that'll definitely help him in the AoE. He has a couple of Immortals, which will help him against the Stalkers, but this is very much anyone's game right now. It all comes down to the engagement, positioning, the micro.
Yeah, I'm just worried just because ArT has a pretty big Stalker lead already, and I feel like that's just going to get bigger. We'll see though, because again, if ArT is going to be the aggressor, then Bistork, he will have defender's advantage. He's going to have a stasis trap, he's going to have some shield battery, some overcharge. If he fights at the third, like, again, that's going to be best case scenario for Bistork. Oh god.
Yeah, instead he moves to the middle of the map. One of his Archons already taken out. Before the fight even begins. Not ideal whatsoever.
Yeah, and ArT doesn't even get baited up the ramp. He just rotates around instead towards the bottom left.
Yeah, which is where there aren't any stasis wards.
Oh god, exactly. There is a base here. There is a shield battery overcharge. Immediately gets popped. We even have a hallucination here to help out. Oh god.
Yeah. Look, whatever you can get, right, to tank a couple of shots, but this is looking very overwhelming. ArT's +2 did finish up as well, just before the fight began. And now he's trying to bait Bistork on open ground where he can't make use of choke points.
That's exactly what he's doing. We see a blink on 4. The Archon's getting picked off one after the other. Bistork, why did you chase him down the ramp? Not like this, puppy, not like this. The Haluk disappears, and now ArT knows he has nothing.
Yeah. The illusion has been broken. Now he knows that he doesn't have to fear a Colossus. I guess he never had to fear a Colossus, but...
Oh, God. And ArT, he made a choice here. Honestly, especially with all these Archons, he probably could have kept pushing. But, oh my god. Especially with the stasis trap, I guess he's going to respect Bistork's position. He will back off. This will give Bistork an opportunity, as he looks like he wants to try and get us around on this army.
Questionable move, because now...
Or get surrounded?
He's going to get surrounded. Yeah, that was... yeah.
Bistork, please.
That... questionable, to say the least.
Yeah. I thought he was just going to chill around the army, right? So we can just catch it when it gets stasis, but instead he just keeps on going. It's understandable because, again, like, ArT's army was essentially just cut in half. But even despite that, despite so many of his Stalkers being stasis, like, he still just had an army large enough to contend with what Bistork had.
Yeah, it really wasn't that much difficulty for him, and now those stasis Stalkers have got up to meet the rest of their family. This is looking pretty tough from Bistork. ArT just trying to hold this contained for as long as possible before rounding off his army, maxing out, and going for the main push.
Yeah, speaking of main push, somehow, someway, Bistork gets all the way into the main base. He will be able to get a snipe onto the robot. He wants the forge.
We'll see if he's able to get it. The Morphers did get taken out by one of the Stalkers.
Yeah, and the entire army gets pulled all the way back home. Unfortunately, there was no recall. The ArT has been too on point with his chronos, and it looks like he loses the forge.
Wow, all right. I believe that denies +3. No, he already finished +3.
Yeah, he was working on plus. I think it was +1 armor.
Potentially. Well, whatever damage Bistork can get done, I suppose, is good damage.
Yeah, it was something, but ArT, he's maxed out. He's ready to go. He has Disruptors, Archons, a mass amount of Blink Stalkers as well. He does back off because of the overcharge. I understand that he doesn't want to throw it away, but at the same time, mate, you just ape it up, you know?
Pretty much. I mean, he doesn't even need to blink at this point. He shoots and scores through those Purification Novas. ArT's still being very cautious here, which I definitely agree with you here. Like, I don't think he needs to be this cautious.
Yeah, he gets forced back, I think, because of DT's. ArT unfortunately didn't have detection with his main army, but there we go. Observer is going to meet up with the rest of his forces. He rotates around towards the triangular third. This Nexus is so exposed. Nova's going off once again.
And actually does connect quite well with a couple of these units. Very well against an Immortal too. Trying to take out these units as best as possible. Meeting up with reinforcements, and this is looking like the beginning of the end.
Yeah, exactly. Despite Bistork finally having some disruptors out, it's not going to be enough. We have a blink on board. The Novas get taken out before they manage to connect with anything, and GG gets called. ArT takes the series 2-1.
Little bit shaky at points, but now we do get to see exactly why ArT is straight up the top seed in all of Sparkling Tuna Cup. None, at least Protoss players, can go up against him like that. And now he's going to meet Bjorn in a PvT finals. Well, not now. We're probably going to take a break, and I think Bjorn needs a minute or two to finish up his other match.
Is he still playing against time?
He shouldn't be. Kuro's telling us that he's just started set 4.
Oh, okay, nice.
And when I say just started, I mean about 20 minutes ago.
That's a quick best of 5.
Or 15 minutes ago.
That is a quick games. Oh my god.